So when it comes to things like medication is so expensive. You might spend more than 20,000 on medication for a lupus patient.
Yeah.
Shaping that environment and also shaping the private sector. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Beyond Conditions. And this week, this is our season finale.
Now,
Yes, we have been going through the Lupus series, and this is our final episode on the Lupus series where we are looking forward with lupus. And I'm your host, Trish Barasa.
joined by John Marvin, the co-host, and today is the season finale, as you can see.
Yeah, sure.
So, on the first question that I'm going to ask you today
Yes.
is how can we address the social economic disparities that affect the SLE outcomes?
So in terms of socioeconomics, we are looking at income levels, and there are those who are earning more than the others. The ones who don't earn so much are disadvantaged in terms of sometimes information and the resources that are in their hands. To address the disparities means to ensure that they get as equal quality care or something close, so that when they need medical attention, they can be able to get it. When they need a diagnosis, a test, they're also able to get that. We can be able to address these disparities that they are able to get a lab test, they're able to get medicine in their hands, they're able to get the information they need by subsidizing some of these different like tests and medicine that they need to take, or if they need to access a specialist, ensure that it's subsidized for those who are in the low income bracket.
So, basically, it limits people.
Yes, yes.
It's inequality in getting the health
Access. Yeah.
access to health
Yeah.
provider.
Yes. So I'm not able to access healthcare as easily as you because of my income levels. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Financial constraints and stuff. And sometimes it's because there is no information, and it always starts at the economic side. So you're economically deprived, then now it moves into the social side and access and all that.
So, in other terms, in the second question,
Mhm.
which is more about health.
Mhm.
So, what roles do healthcare providers play in shaping
Mhm.
the society in SLE?
Okay, so healthcare providers, you're basically looking at the doctors, you're looking at the nurses, you're looking at the therapists and everyone else involved in the process of um, providing care to the SLE patient. First of all, and this I will say over and over again, come to the table with compassion. Yeah, let us sit on a compassionate table, remembering that the SLE patient is already burdened by disease, and you really don't want them to get to the point where they're now carrying an extra burden because you either gaslit them, you're wondering if they're in pain and they're in pain, because you don't have information that you need. So healthcare providers can, number one, come to the table with compassion. Number two, get yourself updated on the current research, because there is something happening in the background, especially out there every day. So when you come to the table and you know that there is this advancement, you will support the outcomes. You will ensure that the person is getting the best care. And then finally is to ensure that even while you're there as a healthcare provider, you're also supporting the patient to have information to enhance their awareness and to enable them and empower them in their decision making through the SLE journey.
So, in other terms, what you're trying to say is that in Kenya, we should like healthcare should be more of intimate to know the symptoms and maybe take their time in analyzing
Yes, yes, yes.
your problems before they can get on to the next person.
Yes, yeah. That next thing we always hear in hospitals, next,
Next, yeah.
yes, like the next client, the next client. It's important for doctors, even as much as you have a heavy load, to realize that that heavy load is an individual. It is a statistic when you look at it from the outside, but to that individual, it is individual. So make the care patient-centric.
So that leads us to our next question, which How can patient advocacy groups influence policy and funding for SLE?
Um, with that, I would look at it in terms of when you come together, your voices are amplified.
Yeah.
When you come together, you're able to present yourself as a mobilized group on a platform, and you can lobby. We've seen these lobby groups in different things, whether people are lobbying for access to this and the other, different services. So when we are able to, through groups, and we have groups like Lupus, Lupus Foundation of Africa here in Kenya, I'm a member. So through such groups, get access to the legislators, get access to the executives, sit on a table and let them know that this is what we are going through, and we are so many. Because the World Health Organization estimates around 5 million people in the world have lupus.
Lupus.
And 9 out of every 10 people who have lupus are female. So when you come to the table, and even men get lupus, children and everything, but 9 out of every 10 is a woman.
So, woman.
Yes. So when you come to table and they are aware that this issue is bedeviling us and women are affected, men are also affected, and we don't know the cause, we need your support. Our voices are amplified when we are many.
Is there a reason or a specific maybe ideology
Mhm.
or a misconception or a myth why women get lupus more than men? Is there an explanation to that?
So far, what I've read is that it's attributed to a hormonal issue, because it also affects so many more women within the reproductive age, 15 to 45, 50. So these are still just theories out there, hypotheses and all that. But there is, I think, a hormonal factor in lupus. But it doesn't mean that only estrogen, but most of those.
So, okay, in men, which cases are mostly like the lupus? Like when you say that lupus doesn't choose how it affects the body, it can maybe go to the brain, eyes. For men, which is the most common?
Like which organ?
Yeah, which organ is the most affected? Yeah.
I actually do not know that. I haven't looked at it from that point of view. But what I know is when lupus, when you're suffering from lupus, it can just hit any organ. Yeah, because remember, your immune system is activated when it should not be activated.
Okay.
You don't have a disease, but it's out there. And then what does it decide to do? It fights your own
Fights.
tissue. Yes, so it's being activated when it should not be. And in turn, it is attacking tissue in your body, including organs. So when it hits you, it's any organ could be along its way. Yeah.
According to maybe some of the symptoms that I know, it's you have stiff joints, and I see you have heels on. You're looking good. How do you manage to stay on? How do you manage to stay on heels and with all those kind of maybe symptoms and signs?
Yeah, thank you, Marvin, for the compliment hidden in all the questions. So I am a day-to-day flat-footed person.
Just for the show.
This is just for show. Yeah, you're likely at any one point to find me either on my foot or in very flat shoes.
That
Yeah,
explains.
so but this is just for show. Yeah, the joints would actually not be able to handle a heel. My joints.
So, in what ways can we leverage technology to improve the lives of those living with SLE?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So technology has afforded us with a lot of possibilities and opportunities that we never knew existed. And today we even have apps, mobile apps, where you can just pick a car. We have a mobile app where you can be able to point out what symptom you're suffering from.
And it gives you
something, and it leads you towards a diagnosis or something.
So it's more of a diagnosing app.
Yes. Okay. So we can leverage on apps. There's so much more out there that I am not even aware of. It's a whole world out there where we can use apps to support care. So that someone knows, maybe I check in a rash when I have a rash. I check in a joint pain when I have a joint pain. And maybe the app sends back and corresponds by telling me this and this, take a break,
Yeah.
or this and this, take a walk. Yeah,
So how
because
accurate are those apps, if I may ask, or are they in place or not, or it's something that you're proposing?
I don't know if it's in place, probably is.
Mhm.
But you see, some of these things like AI, it is fed data, and
Mhm.
it's that data that it brings back to
Back to
us
you. Okay.
improved.
Yeah.
Yes, because after several attempts,
Mhm.
it's able to now like improve on this. So you can imagine if many of us are registering a joint pain on this day, a joint pain on this day,
Yeah.
the the way we talk about joint pains during cold will not just be a very abstract thing. It will be an exact science, because that is what we call research.
Yeah.
So apps can support surveillance, apps can support monitoring, apps can support better care, because that app can tell you you've been sitting for too long. I think you've seen those ones.
Yeah.
But now as a lupus patient, it would even fine tune it better for me
Okay.
and tell me you need a kilometer walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it knows that my joints maybe cannot do 10,
Maybe 10
but
kilometers or so.
and they should not do so little. You've
Ah.
not been walking, you will get inflammation because of inactivity, but you can't walk so far.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can imagine an app keeping supporting your journey and improving your health outcomes, and not just medicine, but even your own lifestyle.
Ah.
Or you need to sleep. You haven't slept for
Well.
4 hours. You need another 4 hours. If you don't do this, inflammation will hit you in 3 days.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that's more informed.
Yeah.
And on to the next question. How does socio-political environment impact lupus management in Kenya?
Oh, okay. That's the siasa.
Yeah.
So we are looking at the legislatures. We're looking at the legislative. We're looking at the executive and all the other players. They can support the process by, number one, shaping policies which either make access to healthcare
Mhm.
easy and of quality, or improve on what we currently have. So ensure that there is quality healthcare, and that there's not so many way government intervenes in some of these things, except either provide in terms of funding,
Mhm.
or provide in terms of it is giving you the service, actual giving you the service, or subsidize and perhaps put in incentives. So when it comes to things like medication, medication is so expensive. You might spend more than 20,000 on medication
Yeah.
for a
True.
lupus patient.
Yeah.
Shaping that environment, and also shaping the private sector, the people who, the big pharma who are making these medicines. Maybe working out something such that there is tax subsidy, and then when the medicine eventually comes to me, they are not giving it to me at a very high price. The same way bread is, everyone has lobbied until bread tax has been dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah, let us drop the prices on the anti-malarials which we use daily,
Mhm.
the steroids which we use daily, and all these other medicines which are very expensive for us, including other services like therapy, because once you have lupus, you also bear a burden of mental health state
Yeah.
that is
True.
either depressive or anxious and all that. So again, it will affect you. It will affect how you think, how you feel, how you act, and it will dampen your mood and your mental state.
Okay. So briefly on the next question, explain
Yes.
what can be done to reduce stigma associated with SLE and promote understanding more.
So stigma, we are looking at generally things like thinking is Trish bewitched, because you don't know.
People don't know.
Yeah, you don't know that an organ inside me is getting damaged. You're just seeing me not able to move.
Yeah.
And you're wondering, why is she dying slowly? Because lupus is an invisible disease. So they'll talk about that family has a bewitched child.
Mhm.
They'll talk about how, oh, so and so has cancer or has HIV, because maybe you're wasting, you have a rash. Like I once had a rash for a straight 8 weeks, and I had to be on very strong steroids to clear that rash. They are corticosteroids, like prednisolone. So once you make society be enlightened, you will reduce stigma. So many of us did not know lupus maybe until you watched this.
Yeah, I mean, most like including me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you didn't know that it's an invisible condition. So imagine eventually learning that even that neighbor of yours, whom you used to wonder how lazy they are because in the morning they drag themselves, learning that they actually probably have lupus, and learning that it's an autoimmune disorder and it is systemic. It hits any organ. Yeah. Me talking to you, Marvin, and suddenly I have brain fog, and you're wondering, this lady, she always forgets things. And maybe you just need to give me a few minutes and my brain fog will clear, or tomorrow because of lupus. You won't stigmatize me once you know and you're aware what lupus is and what it does to those who have to journey with lupus.
So for those people who are just lazy in nature, don't use lupus as an excuse. You might be just lazy in nature, but don't use lupus as an excuse. So on the next question, what policy changes are needed to support SLE patients and caregivers in Kenya? Can you maybe briefly explain on that?
The policy changes, so this is what we're going to do about lupus. I have seen a lot of health reforms in the recent past, and we now have we are the outdated NHIF is being pushed off the way, and we now have the Social Health Insurance Fund (SHIF), and we'll soon have regulations and laws and everything. I managed to peruse it, and I have seen it's addressing chronic conditions. How I pray that we even go a step further and look at autoimmune disorders as a separate entity and not just chronic conditions. Because as we are aware, there are many people affected by especially lupus. There are many people who are not productive because of lupus. So once you have that identified, then you can come up with policies that support incentives, especially towards towards medication, treatment, can support things like physiotherapy is so expensive. And yet it can actually, it's a life and death matter for that person who has lupus. Yeah, so making these things affordable and ensuring that their quality is guaranteed, the standards are there. This is how we can shape the policy framework and the environment to make research. To make research towards funding, and also to ensure, funding towards research, and to ensure that this research is realizing better outcomes for SLE patients. And then finally, so there's funding, there is tax incentives, and then there's subsidies, even towards tests. It should not be so expensive to have an antibody test just because you need to check if your immune system has gone haywire. Yeah.
I think that said, on the last question, briefly, as a society, explain 2 ways on how we can contribute to a brighter future for those affected by SLE. Two main points.
Just 2 main points.
2 main. I'll try to limit you on that.
Awareness. So get society educated through campaigns and all that. And the second thing, compassion. Come to the table with compassion and support people who have lupus. So enhance awareness through campaigns, through the fourth estate, media, through social media. People and then bring compassion to the table when you're dealing with someone who's journeying with lupus.
I think that said, personally, I've learned a lot on this season finale. And I think even you, as viewers and audiences, I think you have maybe taken a note or two on the things that we have talked about here today. And I think it has been a successful season.
Yes. Yeah. I'm also glad that this season has been quite vibrant, and we continue to hear from you. And as always, I am your champion. I'm your warrior, lupus champion, and the chronic conditions warrior. And we continue to support each and every one of us journeying with chronic conditions to realize a full life despite living with the chronic conditions. And we're here for the caregivers, and we're also here to support, and we seek the support of the medical practitioners and society at large. So I'm your host, and it's been nice journeying with you through this. And we hope to see you again next time. And please subscribe to our channel so that we can continue to give you more information on chronic conditions and the support that's needed.
It's been true. I've been your co-host, John Marvin, and thank you for watching.
Thank you very much. See you soon. Bye-bye.